John Stott was very much involved with the Oxford Centre for Mission Studies since its inception in 1983, and in fact Vinay Samuel, who's involved in setting this up with Chris Sugden, was, I believe, the first Langham scholar, and Langham Scholarship was something that John Stott set up.
Well, John Stott was somebody who had a particular influence for my own life from my student days onwards. Just his clarity, his strategic thinking, the depth and his real, the importance which he set upon our minds and the development of our minds in the presentation of the gospel. That struck me as a student, and of course I got to know him more over the years, and that seemed to be something which I was able to take over as well as part of what I intended. Now, when it comes to OCMS, I think he stimulated other people throughout the world in the same sort of way and encouraged young, able, gifted leaders of churches throughout the world to proceed to acquire the kind of qualifications which are necessary in order to become teachers themselves. And that required very often in their own countries having a PhD. But it was OCMS that eventually gave a facility which enabled these people to do it without many problems. OCMS, it seemed to me, gave the focus for people to come to pursue PhDs which were relevant in their own context without having to bring all their own families. Now, John had a real heart for stimulating and enabling scholarship to develop in the majority world. He also had a heart to fund them so they could come here, which would have been difficult otherwise, to fund books at a price which they could afford by giving up his own royalties and other people to give up theirs. And it was that awareness of the majority world, that desire to help scholars to really help the churches in these growing churches, which very often had little depth, that enabled other people to come to him and say, how can we actually accomplish this? And I think it was the dialogue between these people he knew and elsewhere in the world and his own expertise of the rest of the world which allowed the idea of OCMS to develop. With these scholars themselves being the people who thought it up, but John was the one who guided them as a fallback person to discuss issues, and also I think probably to tell them what the kind of scholarship should be that they were doing. So that, I think, was John's work of encouraging, stimulating, and strategically guiding them as to how, when, this could be done.